Welcome to another week of Token, Blacks in Cinema, the place where there's more than one black people and we're not in a cinema. See, that tagline didn't work. Give me a tagline, Steven. What's a tagline?
The place where your favorite characters are always the token, never the bride. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Oh,
Always the token, never the lead.
we gotta work on these little taglines. They'll get better. We'll just come a little prepared with it, so we don't have to go off the head.
No, this is Token Blacks in Cinema, where two black filmmakers review and critique the token black characters in your favorite films and TV shows.
That's a perfect summary. All that goulash I was doing was terrible.
Well, I know we could come up with some funny ones when we figure out how to be funny. That's all.
And that right there is the funniest thing I've heard today.
Boom, boom.
Okay, so we'll jump right into it. Our movie this week is Bridesmaids.
Yes.
Bridesmaids. Okay, what's the summary on this, Steven?
Bridesmaids is about a down on her luck woman whose best friend is getting married and living her best life while she is living her absolute worst, and her attempt at reconciling that by going above and beyond to prove she is the best maid of honor, I guess, that she can be, even though she's got a direct challenger to the throne. So it's all the crazy zaniness that happens while she feels like she's losing her, not just her life, but her best friend.
Ooh, that was good. So, okay, I have a hashtag for this one. And I think I want to start off with it. Is that a truck? Can you hear this truck that I hear?
I can't from here.
Okay, I don't think anyone can. I just think my nerves can. So, so here we go. Here's my hashtag that I wrote down. Hashtag free Maya Rudolph.
Hashtag free Maya. Maya. So why is the hashtag free Maya being developed?
Because I feel like they had her playing more so the straight man in this entire film. Like, out of all the characters, I feel like she was like the straight man. And I think that's kind of against what her comedic ability is. Like, she did well. She had some funny bit parts, but the majority of the time they kind of had her as the straight man. And I was like, Maya Rudolph is just as goofy as the lead character when they do skits and things on SNL, but that's not how they're playing her. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but that's one of my overall initial thoughts. What were you thinking when you were watching this?
I mean, I definitely feel that, because she is normally playing way exaggerated, over the top versions of pop stars like Beyonce, or playing the crazy weirdo character on SNL. So I wasn't mad at her being the straight-laced one. It's just that I'm so used to seeing her be the goofy one that it was funny seeing her be the straight one to me sometimes, because I was just waiting for her to start being goofy too.
I hate it because I feel like she never really got that. I don't know. I don't know.
But also for her, like, it's the movie is she's not the star in this one, right? This is Kristen Wiig's vessel. So
she's not the star.
Kristen Wiig wrote it too, so she's the and I know they're close in real life, so I guess she's just actor playing your part. I get that. She's just very straight laced, like I mean she's still wilded out. Like, she's the one that's in the middle of the street in a dress.
That was a comedy bit. But like the majority of the comedy bits aren't. I was thinking weren't for her. Like, everyone else has had like these big characters and stuff, and like I think her character's biggest play in this to me was being the catalyst for a lot of things that were going on to the main character. Like her wedding, that was it. Or she was the person that brought to her the thing that was going to move the main character's story forward. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I watched this through the lens of like the fact that Maya Rudolph hasn't had like a starring comedic role, not that I know of. And like, so when I see her, like, yeah, she has a big role in this. Like, she's in like 16 to 20 scenes. But like she's kind of just the catalyst to the main character and not, I don't know. It just bothered me. So that was my big thing is I was like, why don't they have more like of her playing into her ability to be like a comedian just as much as like Kristen Wiig. I even feel like the girl who was like her rival her character was able to be a little have more starry like elements to her. Like I don't think Maya's character was boring, but she definitely was maybe one of the least interesting.
Yeah, she was definitely one of the least. She was the most straight laced, and I think. Well, actually, no, I'd say even more straight laced than her was the girl that played Becca, right? The redhead.
No, I would disagree. I would
You think
disagree.
she was less straight laced than Maya Rudolph's character?
So when I think of straight lace, what I'm talking about is like having like kind of starring moments within their character. Like she always, if she had anything comedic, it at the very beginning it played off of the main character. But like her own kind of personality, you don't really see it. Like at least with the redhead girl, like her personality or her comedy bit is playing this kind of like straight lace, like, hey, I heard if you drink alcohol, you might get drunk. Like that was like her thing was to like make these kind of naive, comedic like moves. And I feel like for her character, there really wasn't big personality like moments, except the one time when I think where she really kind of had like a funny like for her own was when she got upset at the bridal shower where she was like, I know her asshole's bleached because I bleached my asshole. You know what? I like it. Like
Yeah.
to me, there wasn't a lot of like moments where it was her alone of like how she is as a person. It was always like her playing off of like the main character to me.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I think she was supposed to be the much more centered yin to Kristen Wiig's chaotic yang. I
Totally.
think so. So I think that's just that. I think is what her character was, which was the for the most part straight laced because they still talked about when Rose Byrne was like when they were competing to see who could deliver the best opening speech, and she's talking about going to how they snuck away with the boys and got crazy and all that stuff. So I think they wanted to show that she still knew how to have fun, but at the same time she's like mature and doing adult things growing up, while Kristen Wiig was still not maturing. So that's kind of how I saw it. She's I guess, kind of the carry to everybody else's other Sex and the City characters. Like,
No, she's true, but I would say Carrie. I guess so. I think also the reason why I feel that way is because she was the only black character, except a little bit. You get a Terry Crews cameo at the very beginning.
yeah,
You have a little bit of that, but like she's the only black character, and I kind of feel like, okay, so this is the thing I was telling you all when we were on the phone earlier. It's like I feel like this is an example of like having diversity and thinking you're doing it when you're really not. Like there was an element of this that was like, oh, she's black, her father's black, but like, and that's enough of us to have diversity, but like kind of know like her being black or what that means was never like a big hook into being a part of the film. Like her bridal party's all white. The one cousin they bring in of hers is a white woman. And I
yeah,
was, y'all could have had a black woman play that. Like that's what opened you up for her being mixed is like you could have a black woman play one of the main bridesmaids, but you chose another white woman. Given I absolutely love the woman who played her cousin because I love Reno 911. I think she's
yeah, me too.
hilarious. She's great.
Wow.
She's amazing. But like, for instance, that was an opportunity to have someone black. But like instead the choice was another white woman. When you have like
Yeah,
a bridal shower, like you have black people kind of like you have kind of black people kind of sprinkled through, but really not really. Like I was like, she has some black people's presence in here, but it's like it's diversity without to me being really intentional about what it means to bring diversity to a film.
yeah, it is, and it is definitely it's interesting because I noticed that too. I was like, oh, her cousin. For some reason I was expecting a black cousin, which I was like, which had me thinking like, oh, okay, interesting. It's the girl that is blonde as all get out, which, and again, I think it's Wendy McClendon. or Covey, right, from Reno 911. I think she is hilarious.
She's
But
amazing.
I thought that would have been a good opportunity to showcase like that side of the family, her black side of the family, which could have brought in much more, diversity and equal amounts of craziness too. Because her dad was, very much, to me, her dad was very much like a black father. Like
Oh no, he
he was
felt like a
just,
black daddy.
yeah,
But
exactly.
he had like what, like 2 lines?
2 or 3 where he's like, "Thanks for coming out to the wedding. I wish they would just hurry up and get married, save me some money." Like, I'm not kidding. That was a joke. It'll save me a lot of money. And people are like, what? But yeah, he was funny. But yeah, he had a few lines, and I think that given the opportunity to do that, they could have definitely inserted more of her, her black family. But again, it's Kristen Wiig's vehicle, so it's about the craziness between those two. And honestly, I'd have to look into it, but I would not doubt if she cast her just because they're like best friends in real life either.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that either. And it just happened to be like, oh well, that would be great because then we can have like that's the thing. Like I feel like the diversity of it was more of a second thought instead of like a main thought of like what does it look like to, because if the diversity was a main thought, they would have made her cousin black.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it felt very much so like a white woman's story with a black woman in it, but from a white woman's point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. Bingo. And having
Yeah.
like the black girl at the shop is like the one that's working hard and doing it right. But her name is Kahlua. I was like, really? Kahlua? I was like, come on. And I'm assuming that's like specifically meant to be a joke. But I was like, what? Is she a stripper?
Wait, I missed this. What black woman at the shop?
Remember the black woman when Kristen Wiig works at a diamond store,
Yeah.
and she at the beginning when the Asian couple comes in and they're trying to shop and she's like, "Oh, how long y'all been together? Oh, 2 years. That's not really a long time to get to know somebody." Or no, she's like, excuse me, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna get married and it's forever, but really it's more like 2 to 4 years, maybe probably 2 years, 4 years if you're good." And then she kind of scared them away. And then her manager comes up and was like, "You're not giving the forever look. You're not doing, show me your forever look." And she
Oh
makes
yes, the black girl, and she does
and
her.
she has the black girl. It's like, "Kahlua, show her your forever look." And she's like all modeled out and everything. That I thought was interesting because I was like, the black girl's name's Kahlua. She's like the perfect employee, but I was like, her fucking name's Kahlua. Like,
See,
and so like I made
that's
sure,
her
and they
spot.
repeated the name multiple times. That's how I know it's partly supposed to be a joke,
Mm.
or probably supposed to be a joke.
So like, cause she's black, Kahlua is like a black alcohol, like a brown bottle, right?
So, yeah, Kahlua is a coffee creamer, like alcohol.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
It's not the best joke in the movie, that's for sure.
No.
Um,
So one thing, so just like a side note about this movie's a little long. Did you think that?
it is because I was running just screenwriter structure on it just as I watched it, and it had all the proper beats, but I noticed it ran like, it was like what, hour and 55.
It was
I
like
think.
2 hours.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours. I think it's 2 hours and 17 minutes actually.
Yeah, so that's a very it's a long, for comedy, it's on the long end.
That's
Yeah.
pretty long. But you know what I think I realized I think one thing that they did which was like brilliant is like their best scenes, they just let them go. So like the best scenes to me was like the food poisoning and the bridal shop. Like that
Right.
scene runs really long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's gold. Like beginning and end gold. And then the plane scene runs like I think the plane scene is like 17 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
yeah, the plane scene runs it's over 10 minutes. I know that. Let me stop myself. But I know for a fact it's over 10 minutes, which I was really surprised about to stay in one scene. But it's because it was also like a pinnacle like comedy like moment. Yeah, that plane scene is really long. So I think I was like probably the reason why they ran long is because they kept
And
all of the comedy bits in it, but also it's kind of like the beginning is pretty long. But they like they let all the comedy stuff like play out. Like think about when they had the like speech where the girls are going back and forth. Like that
Yeah,
was long.
that was long. That was long, and it felt long, but
Yeah.
because it was so uncomfortable, and
Oh, it
that's
was
exactly
great.
what you're going for with that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
No,
And the same,
it's great.
the wedding, the like pre-wedding party at the chateau, whatever, where she's flipping out by the chocolate fountain, that runs a little long too. And those are also all the scenes where she's like reaching her lowest point, then like a lower point, then a lower point. Like she just gets just digging a deeper hole for it too. So, but those are also the comedy bits. So, and I think a lot of times the directors will let them just kind of go off with it so they can capture as much funny stuff as possible.
Yeah, they're funny, but I was like, this movie's long. But I was like, oh, they're sitting in like these scenes for like 10 minutes at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like
But
they
the
were
funny
long.
part is because it's a comedy and because those are genuinely funny scenes, you don't notice how long it is really when you're in the moment either, for the most part, because it's so funny. And you're just like, how crazy is this going to get? And it just keeps going crazier. Melissa McCarthy is shitting in the sink. And the other girl, Wendy McClinton, is throwing up in the toilet. And she's like, don't do it. Like, it's chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos. Which
I
is
just
hilarious.
I think overall, like I like Maya in this part. I think she did great. I just wish that like she was given more because she is really this light on my chin is killing me. It looks like I have a weird mole. Let me turn it. Okay, there. Um, I
There you
just
go.
wish that she had more because she is the only like kind of touch to like blackness in this. And I think, you know, she's like really there's only one black character in a main role amongst like all white women, which that's like its first fault. But yeah, I think for me, I was just craving more from her because of the fact that like, I don't know, she's kind of felt like she was great in it. She's cool, but it wasn't really giving me nothing. Like it was kind of like, she was just kind of there. Like, I think for here, like when we were talking about Queen of the Dam, the mistake is that Aaliyah's character was the most interesting character, and they gave her they gave her a token role, like in the sense of like not really giving her screen time, things like that. In this film, um, Maya is the token. She's given more screen time, but she's not really given much to work with. So like she's kind of forgettable. Like if you were to list like your favorite people like out of this and their performances, like to me she would be like bottom, like towards the end.
I think actually a good point. She isn't she doesn't have any of the memorable she doesn't take the lead in any of the memorable scenes, right? Except for that wedding dress scene, which is definitely the probably the most embarrassing thing that you can imagine happening to yourself. But you don't remember her for the most part doing anything crazy chaotic, and that's in a movie like this, that's what's going to stand out, right? Kristen Wiig does all this crazy shit. She's the one getting on the PA on the plane, running around. Melissa McCarthy does a lot of crazy shit, buys all these puppies. She's hassling the air marshal. She's like beating up on Kristen Wiig, like you. And Wendy McClinton's character is constantly talking about how she's tired of having sex with her husband, and her kids are all disgusting. They've got this semen everywhere, all this shit. So yeah, you don't get any real crazy personality aspects out of Maya Rudolph's character, and I guess that's I can definitely see that's why you would say what you said earlier about her being the most stale or most plain.
She just felt like a diversity, like whole, like she's felt like filled the quota, you know. I think I would have liked to have seen Maya Rudolph in a more like in the role of maybe Melissa McCarthy, or in the role of, because here's the thing, like this I believe was a star turning point for Melissa McCarthy as an actress.
I think this is where she started getting recognized and selling more of her
Right.
characters here.
And then to a certain degree for Kristen Wiig, right? Kristen Wiig now is doing things like she did Ghostbusters. She was thought for the lead for that. And she also is like in the new Wonder Woman. Like I just feel
Yeah.
like it would have been more of like a turn for Maya as an actress, comedic actress, if they had put her in one of the other characters, honestly. Like even Maya playing the girl who was the cousin would have been more memorable of her within the movie than who she played as the best friend.
Yeah, which is ironically supposed to be what the stories like partly what the story's about. It's the best friend who's getting married. And it's a good point. And I mean, yeah, again, this is a star vehicle for Kristen Wiig that she wrote, and it's something like to push her out into the limelight. So, of course, not every movie has to be about Black people or about Black stories, but you do want, the whole purpose of this is to shine light on the Black characters that are there and whether or not they're given like their due to really thrive and live in being themselves as that character, even if they're not the lead, right?
Yeah.
So, and I see what you're saying with her character. It's a weird irony that, yeah, it's all about her wedding, but she doesn't seem to quite get the chance to shine like some of the other characters, right?
And I think I would feel differently too if there wasn't so many parts that had shine moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And throughout the film. And for her to be one of your main characters and to not only have like maybe one or two shine moments, and she's your only character of color, that's disappointing. I just think a lot of times for me, I feel like when it comes to diversity within films, especially films that are made by white filmmakers, it's just like a check mark, but it's not intentional. Like, it's not intentional about how bringing like Black characters in could bring in new talent, can bring in new points of view, can bring in, like your only Asian characters in the film are just at the beginning, as a side piece. Like your all your Black characters are kind of side pieces, or the one that you have throughout it, you don't really give her too much. Like, it's just like there's no intentional bringing in the diversity into the realm of like the juice of the movie. Like, it's just garnish pieces.
Yeah, they're. Oh, you're saying they're not the meaty pieces?
No, they're not your meat. You make your soup and you're like, oh, let me add like some garnish of like some Asian people at the jewelry store. But look, we have this carrot here. That's someone Black who's a carrot. That's a big piece of this. Nobody likes the fucking carrot, but the carrot's here. The carrot's not gonna do much, but it's part of this. So like I get it was like her, like of course she's the star, but I'm just like, I would have loved to see Maya in any other role in this, because I think it would have spoke more to like her kind of comedic chops and talent. Like, yes, she's done it on SNL, but SNL only brings in so many people. I mean, it definitely like gives people like a hitch for like the new comedic talents. But like when it comes to like film and things on the big screen, and this movie did well, it would have been nice for people to have been able to see her on a bigger screen doing her comedic stuff,
Okay, so let's give it a rundown with our usual questions then.
Okay.
Would removing her as the token character have made a difference in the film?
No.
Right. I totally agree. Like, it wouldn't have really mattered at all. Because you could have just swapped her with anybody else, and it would have still been the same exact movie. So would swapping the token with the lead, what would that have looked like? I'll tell you, start off right now.
That would have been fun. What do you think?
I think it would have, because to start off with, a Black girl would not have put up with those roommates.
That was funny. Or like she would have, but it, like the dynamic, like for instance, okay, so like, Maya does play. So let's think of like a Black character Black characters on big screen who have big personalities that we've seen as like your Leslie Jones does. And I would say also Tiffany Haddish. Like Tiffany Haddish going back and forth with them, she like may have taken it, but like it would have been funny. Like she'd have been like, so y'all really this dumb? Like it just would have like, I don't know, there's something about us where it's like we really see it for what it is. Like we're not naive
and not afraid to call it out for what it is, right?
Yes.
Tiffany Haddish is the first one I thought of. And if she had those roommates, even if you're tolerating it and living with it, she would have definitely had some words, right? With them. She would have, even if it was more of the sarcastic kind of like, oh, okay, you just got a tattoo from a man in a van. Okay. You gonna let him run up on you like that, right? Oh, you read my diary now. Okay, like it would have definitely been much more of an engaged back and forth. I think would have been more showing, more telling of her character.
So I have a question. This is just like, and like just to get in your head, when you're thinking about like the switching out of the Black female or the whatever the black token is for like as the lead, like do you have like a type in your head all the time when you're thinking about it, right? Because I wonder if like even if like our thoughts of like what it looks like to be the black lead is like playing to a stereotype of what black people are in these roles or as these characters.
Yeah, there comes a point where it's just so meta. You're frequently the characters you swap them with are going to be people that are usually those type of characters in those movies anyway. So you just think, what would it be if? So you subconsciously are like, what if you took this character from this movie and put them in this movie, or who we normally see this person play in this movie? You know, so it can become its own self-referential like hole you start digging where you're not imagining this character is more of a dominant character playing such a subdued character. Kristen Wiig's character in here she's much more subdued than she is in other roles, but she's also like, she's not afraid to say what she thinks, but she still kind of lets life walk all over her, you know, to a point. And so thinking about somebody like Tiffany Haddish in like her character in Brides or Road Trip, like is not subdued at all, right? But you're thinking of her in this role being not subdued when she would have to be a little more subdued and more calm until she's not, which is how Kristen Wiig's character is in this.
Right.
So it does definitely become its own referential thing. Usually when I think of it, or some thing that references stereotypes to a point, or what we usually see, even though you want to try not to reference those stereotypes. I'm getting all fucking movie critic now, but I usually when I see it, I just think of one actor doing all the same scenes, but in that role instead.
Well, because like, and the reason I bring that up is because I wonder if for like white people when they're casting certain roles, that's all they think about is like the black woman is your Tiffany Haddish, the black woman is your Leslie Jones when it comes to comedy, and it's not thinking of like black comedic actresses who are a little bit more subdued, who are able to do it, but like, because you know, being a black woman is being several different things. I do, and that's the big question. It's like, how do you bring people's blackness to a film without it being a stereotype of what blackness is, right?
Yep, exactly.
Because there's definitely black girls that are like naive, but it's like those black, like there's a specific background. Like I think specifically with black people, how we're raised plays a huge role in how we are. Like as a black woman in general, you're faced with things where it makes you have to realize like, oh, this is how people see me sometimes. This is how people treat me sometimes. So you are more alert specifically to what white people are doing. Like you watch white people in a different way. If you've had to live a life where you've had to be alert to them. Now, let's say you grew up where you just saw yourself as one of the other white girls and stuff like that, then you're not as alert to like, maybe that's why you're not as alert to like certain things that white people are doing. And so you may play it like a little differently. I'm just trying to think like, even in our own assessment of like what it means to be black in these lead roles, is it playing to like the stereotype of what blackness is? It's just, and I think that's an interesting thing. And I think it's a complex thing. And I think white people just aren't, like, no offense, some of them just aren't able to even like grasp it or how to like present it. Because I think as black people, it's hard for us to like present what that means, because like easily like black people can play every single role in this film. But there is definitely times where I've seen a film and I'm like, yo, her blackness is like not even recognized. Like there's a savviness that comes with like black women. And if there's not, there's like a background thing. Like our backgrounds to me just play like a big role in how we perceive the world for us, because we're black. So that's like already a thing that people see in this world.
Yeah, that's the first thing they see when they meet you, right? And so I think it's a very good point. And I think so there's subtle differences that would make this black character just react differently to some of these situations. And I think like I did notice when Kristen Wiig first wants to have a talk with Maya about Rose Byrne's character, she's like, can I just, can we talk about, and she's like, she's like, go ahead, get it out. Come on, get it out. And I was like, okay, she is acting. That's like how I would expect like a black female to be, like, just come out with it, get it out. Yeah, come on. Like, and she just lets her rant about the other girl. And so, but I also think if you're friends and one of them clearly knows the other one is like off her rocker sometimes, then she is sometimes going to be more direct with her. Obviously it just depends on the friendship, but it's that part stood out to me actually, because I was like, oh, she's telling her this. Come on, I already know what you're about to say, but come on with it.
Yeah. And I wonder if like as like I wonder if like even as like we watch like, and being people who obviously have watched films with all black casts written by black filmmakers, things like that, it's like we like look for like those moments of like significant, like that signify like blackness, like and what's so funny about this movie is that they reference black culture a couple of times in this. The white people do. Like, for instance, like in the scene where she's trying to get the cops' attention, she has like the hip hop music playing, being all gangster. Yeah. Like, that's like, ooh, yeah, like that's a reference to like black culture. Or I think I wrote down another thing. I think that was it. But I saw, or like the Murray on TV. Remember when Mari was playing? Mari.
Yeah, Mari.
And it's like the black guy's like dancing on the stage. Like there's like a reference to like black culture or black people, and like I don't know, I just thought that was like that was interesting. And in a lot of these white movies, like as a comedic part, they like have white people referencing black cultural things as like a funny, like, look at that white girl like listening to hip hop music.
Yeah, I noticed that because I saw the Maury. I was like, oh, she's over here watching Maury. Okay. And, the dude's dancing around. It's one of the ones where he's like, you're not the father. And that dude is like dancing around on stage all happy. I was like, okay. So she's getting down with that. A lot of people watch Maury, but clearly we know black folks love them some Maury.
Maury is such a mess. It's just, let's say Lillian, Maya Rudolph's character, was about to star in a movie. What would her movie look like?
So, same character or?
Same character, Lillian.
I mean, I think her character, so I noticed that they gave her the most plain ass husband.
Oh my God, he's super white.
In the world. Like super, super fucking plain, right? And so I'm thinking, how is she having all these fun adventures with her girls? Like, how is she really dying to marry this dude? Like, how? Because he looked so fucking plain. Like, you couldn't get much plainer. And that's what had me thinking, like, okay, I guess she's much more boring in real life, or maybe just more active, like maybe she's just more low-key in real life.
Yeah, Dougie, which is like even his name, he was very non-factory white. Like it was just like, oh, this guy is plain. He was rich though.
I couldn't tell, like his money, because the dad was saying he was paying for all of it, right? And she, even when she broke down, when my Rudolph's character broke down, she was saying that she was worried her dad was going to like go broke or couldn't afford it, whatever. So I was like, okay, so I didn't catch that was that his family's house that they had the chateau at?
So it was the country club. It was like his family's a part of this country club. And so that's why. But, I think, but tradition is that the dad pays for the wedding.
Right?
Yeah. But he supposedly had money. Like they're part of this like fancy like country club. And then the reason why she knew homegirl, who was also like her bridesmaid, was because him and the boss are like best friends, and she comes from like big money. So like he ain't just nobody if he's hanging out with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Especially because his ass is I mean, he's a rich white dude. They have it there at the country club. They have the girl, they have his dad. And I never got to find out what her dad did, right? Did they ever say?
No.
See, that's where I was like, okay, I want to see more about her family. So I think a movie with her, ideally, or if I was doing it, would showcase more about her family, and I'd get to see, because her dad seems like a fucking character. He's
Yeah.
somebody I definitely would want to see more. The mom, I don't think had a single voice. The mom didn't have
She
any
didn't have any
dialogue,
lines.
right?
I know she's a white woman.
She had what?
I know she was a white woman. That's it.
No, you said she had 3 lines? I don't even remember
No,
seeing
no,
it.
she had no lines. All I
Oh,
know is that she had no lines. All I know is she was a white woman.
yeah, yeah, exactly. She had 0 lines. And I thought that was funny because the dad did. And the dad, I've seen him in some other movies too, but the dad was, he was great. I would, if it was a movie about her, I'd see more about the dad, and I'd see more about her interaction with her husband, more about her relationship with that character, Rose Byrne's character, who is secretly just like trying to live through her because her life sucks with her husband. And I'd expect to see more about her relationship with Kristen Wiig and how she handles her relationship with her from her point of view. Right. I would think that the I would think that, and it might, I think we think that it might be a funny movie, but again, like you said, her character isn't the funniest one there. It's kind of everybody else. So the movie would be more about the people in her life, which is interesting.
Yeah. I was
The way her
thinking, I was
character,
trying to pull like something, but she's so dry. Like they're like not her, but like just what they give her character, it's so nothing. You're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what could even a movie around her like
look
be
like.
like? That doesn't feel boring.
That doesn't feel exactly, especially because she is already a very kind of, plainish character.
Yeah.
Even though I think like I liked her character here, she was but she's the grounded one, right? She's the one that Kristen Wiig's character goes to because she's trying to prove how much she cares about her and stuff, but she's not the one that's wilding out. She's not the one that's acting like, oh, I am getting my I'm getting married. She's not the bridezilla, right? It's Kristen Wiig that's really the bridezilla. And
Yeah.
I think she mentions that too. She says something about it's my wedding. I'm supposed to be the one going crazy or whatever after the plane, right?
Yeah.
But my favorite part of these is flipping and seeing what it would be like if the token
Right.
was the lead in the movie. And I think things still would have been very different. I think the plane situation, she would have probably gotten arrested afterwards. She would not have just been let go, right?
No,
Because she
she
gets off
would.
the plane and the next thing they're in the car and she's like getting chewed out by Maya Rudolph's character.
No, Maya would still be in jail. Maya, it just wouldn't go in this world. God forbid they don't accidentally kill her.
Yes. And granted, this was like what, 2006, 7? When was this movie released?
I think you're right around then.
Um, she let me double check.
2011.
2011.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't as tensions weren't as high then, but it was still a pretty damn like she still would get.
I mean, they
I
were
think,
still killing us.
yeah, they didn't just start a couple days ago. This
they,
summer, they damn sure were.
yeah, they'll continue it. Okay,
And I
so what
think,
would be? I don't really have. Do you have like a comedy, like a female comedy like recommendation, or like
oh,
what like or if you don't, because I don't really have one with this that I thought of thinking.
I think the comedy equivalent for this for sure would be Road Trip, right?
Girls Trip,
Or is it Girls Trip? Well, I keep calling it Road Trip.
because
Girls
there is
Trip.
a movie called Road Trip that's
That's a
excellent.
whole different movie. You're right. That's a
Yeah,
very
that one's awesome. That's a side note movie that's really great. It's all male cast. I love that movie though too.
that movie is fun.
That movie is
That
real
movie
fun.
is fun.
Underrated. But yeah, Girls Trip I guess would be the only like all black female like kind of comedy, and it's so sad. We need more. Um, there's probably some that nobody's seen. Like Monique is in a movie with like other comedians, but nothing that's like on this level, you know.
There, nothing on this level. I'd agree, and I think that's the thing is that Girls Trip is Girls Trip is one that achieves all the same milestones this one does, where there's the diverse cast of characters that are, one is plain, one is like crazy, one has a like family and doesn't get out much, one like just wants to do something new. All this stuff I think they have with Girls Trip. And then of course Girls Trip has the crazy fucking like oh my god scene where you're like, I cannot believe they fucking did that, right? Which is basically the skeeting in the middle of fucking street all over 1,000 people.
Okay, peeing. Skeet and pee is different.
That is different. Was it pee?
It was pee. She peed. She didn't trust me. That wasn't skeet.
That's okay. I'm gonna take your word for it. It's been a little while since
no. Take my word for it, because skeet don't mean peeing.
That's true. No. That's I'm very, very true. Skeet is something very different. I just for some reason was never thinking that's what it was, but and we're not. That's a whole different conversation too. But
my God, that's funny. No, and then that would be that's its like big like gross out like moment. But there's not a lot of films with like all black females, like, you know, even there is another equivalent like of this, like a Bridesmaid that only has like one token too. That's that movie with Zoe Kravitz in it. I think it's called, I forgot what it is. Scarlett Johansson's in it, and it's 5 white women, and the Zoe Kravitz is in it, and then I think Homegirl, another SNL girl, is in it.
It's a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Rough Night. That's what I was gonna ask. Rough Night. I never saw that. Oh, it's got Alana. From
Homegirl from Broad City, Scarlett Johansson.
Alana Glazer from Broad City too. Yeah, Kate McKinnon
from SNL. And then Zoe Kravitz is the token. And then this other comedian girl who I see all the time, who actually had a cameo in Bridesmaids, and I can't remember her name.
So this is about a bachelorette party too?
I think it's a bachelorette party. Jillian Bell, she actually has a cameo in Bridesmaids. I noticed, because I recognize her from 22 Jump Street and some other movies. Rough Night, yeah. Office Christmas Party, I recognize her from that. So yeah, that's another movie that actually has the same kind of lineup deal with the like one.
Yeah, that looks just like it.
Mixed.
But what was I never saw that movie, and honestly don't remember anybody talking much about it, so I don't know what
It didn't really do well. I think what I'm pretty sure is they accidentally kill a stripper, and then like they try to like cover that up, and it's a bachelorette party night.
Oh,
and
okay.
One thing I noticed about this is they recognize Zoe Kravitz's blackness, but in a way where the white girls are like, if I remember right, the white girls are like, does she even know she's black?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I know. That is like, what the hell? Like, how dare you guys like call out like a black female's like blackness? Like she's not performing black the way that you want her to perform black. You can't say that. Even if you're telling the truth, you can't say that. Only other black people can say that, okay? It's like the N-word. Exactly. Not everyone can say it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say it. You can't just be saying that. No.
So that's pretty much it. I didn't have much. She, you know, it's sad, but her character didn't really give much juice, you know?
I was looking at it like, if the lead was black, I think it could have still very much been told with the same story. I think it would have been, she goes home to live with her mom. I think that would have been an opportunity for a different type of dialogue between her and her mother, you know, because the mom was in AA or something, right? And I think, especially being as PC as we are now, I don't think the mom would have been a recovering addict or whatever either, right? If she was black, the mom would have been doing something else.
Because the white people would have had her doing crack.
Yeah, she may not have made it to AA yet.
Oh my God, terrible. What another black stereotype.
Mm-hmm. You see how busted her car was, though?
Oh, yes.
Her car was the biggest piece of shit, right? And I was like, if she was black, this shit would fit right into the stereotype. Like, too comfortably in. So we would have had to change that shit up. But I also thought it was interesting that she was dating a cop, that she was a lead and she was dating a cop. So I was trying to recall any movies where I've seen, because there's a lot of movies where there's black cops, right? Bad Boys and all this stuff, black male cops. But I was like, have I seen any movie or TV show where there's a black girl dating, where she's dating a cop or she gets wooed by a cop? And I know they're out there. I know actually one of Tyler Perry shows, I think that's one of the characters, but I can't think off the top of my head of any. So I was like, if they were switched and she started getting wooed by this cop, how would that be different? I think that's a whole other.
But
especially if she was getting wooed by a white cop.
On that note, as always, you guys, please subscribe. Please follow us on our Instagram. Follow us here on our YouTube, on our podcast. We're on all apps. We're gonna make it happen for everything. Everything. So have a good week. Stay black, because it don't crack.
Stay black. Stay black and die.
Oh man, that's all we can do, right?
Oh shit.